Thank you for watching this week's Weatherquest Farming Forecast, recorded on the summer solstice, the 21st of June, 2019. We're going to start this week's forecast by taking a look at some of the weather headlines from around the world, starting in India, where we've had temperatures above 45 degrees Celsius, and in the interior part of India and into parts of Pakistan, putting a real stress on the rice and cotton farmers there. Good news though, the monsoon is starting to creep into southwestern parts of India at the moment, so hopefully bring them a little bit of relief over the next week or two. In the US, still well behind on the corn and soybean planting. In fact, this graphic here by the USDA showing just how far behind and how significant of an event this is. So back to 1998 to present, this is the corn planting that's gone on through the spring, and you can see where we are compared to those years during 2019, pretty much solely down to the weather in terms of the flooding and heavy rains that have been around that part of the world. The good news is though, the rains have sort of eased over the last couple of weeks and river levels are falling. This is the flood gauge at the Mississippi River in St. Louis, Missouri, just coming down below the major flood stage now, and the forecast is for it to continue to fall below flood stage altogether during the first week of July. Now, some other headlines into Europe. So Eastern Europe and Western Russia, temperatures over the last week about 2 to 4 degrees above average for the time of year. So that's increased irrigation demands there. But the forecast for yields across that part of the world is still very good for the coming season, but just having to irrigate a little bit more where they can. The big news over the last week though has been the severe thunderstorms in France, leading to localized flooding and large hail. So this map is zooming into southeastern parts of France around the area of Drôme, and that's where we saw some of these big thunderstorms and hail. Here's some hail that's sitting in some of the netting over one of the orchards there. This hail had been sitting in the netting there for several hours, and some of these hailstones were as big as golf balls as they fell. Luckily, some protection in some of the orchards from these nets, but in others, the hail stripping the fruit out of the orchard trees there. You can see them just littered across the ground. So a lot of damage being done by those large hailstones. And in fact, this is a cornfield, or what's left of a cornfield, showing the leftovers of the localized flooding, the heavy rain that fell, but also the damage done by the hailstones as they ripped into the field there. So the French government has issued a national emergency for the farmers to give them some financial aid for the damage done to the fields. It was widespread enough. These thunderstorms did spread northwards out of France though, and came into southern parts of Britain, particularly southeast England. In this picture, a fantastic image taken of the leading edge of one of these thunderstorms across Suffolk by Clare Middleditch. So a lot of lightning associated with these as well. This radar loop is going to show us scattered thunderstorms. A few kicked off in the afternoon across Suffolk, but otherwise it was a big push during the evening and overnight across Kent and up the east coast of East Anglia, where we saw the heaviest rain and most frequent lightning as well. In fact, a couple of houses were struck by lightning as well and damaged during that overnight period on Tuesday night into Wednesday. And these are the tracks of the heaviest rain too. So this is the rainfall accumulation by radar, showing the thunderstorms coming across Sussex into Kent and then riding up the east coast of East Anglia. The red colors on this image indicating about 50 millimeters of rain. But interestingly, didn't have to go very far west to get into areas that saw almost no rain at all during that period. And putting some of the rainfall totals on the map, only 3 millimeters of rain reported at Stowe, and lots of Northamptonshire and Oxfordshire, less than 5 millimeters of rain. You come up to Suffolk though, 31 millimeters of rain reported by an Environment Agency gauge there, and 48 millimeters of rain across parts of Kent. So almost a month's worth of rain fell in just a couple of hours during Tuesday evening and Tuesday night. If you want to track these thunderstorms in real time yourself going forward, you can subscribe to WQRadar. Go to wqradar.co.uk. You'll find all the details there. You get access to the 5-minute radar updates showing you where the rain is, which way it's moving. You get the live weather observations on the app too, and you can actually set yourself up to get an email or SMS text message if there's lightning nearby too. So a really useful tool, and it may be needed in the next 5 to 7 days coming up too. So more on that in the forecast. This is the jet stream currently and what it's going to do over the next couple of days. So you can see a very wavy pattern diving well to the south and then moving back northward. So what's happening is cool air to the west of the British Isles and the west of Europe, diving down into parts of the Atlantic there, but it's picking up the hot and humid weather over Iberia and across the Bay of Biscay and bringing it into southern Britain. And this zone between the western edge and the eastern edge of where the jet stream is really going to cause a lot of uncertainty in the forecast for just how the detail of the forecast plays out in southern Britain. So if it's just slightly further to the east, that will bring us much more unsettled weather with the potential of thunderstorms in central and eastern areas. If it stays further west, it will keep us in the hot and dry weather further south and east. And so there still is a large amount of uncertainty going forward. So this is an ensemble forecast. This is showing computer model run 50 different times with slightly different starting conditions. The boxes here are showing you the middle 50% of that uncertainty, and the whiskers are showing you the top 25 and the bottom 25% of the forecast here. So the bigger the box, the more uncertainty there is. And through the middle part of next week, you can see some of these temperatures climbing into the low 30s, others staying near 20 degrees Celsius. The reason for that is due to the fact that there's uncertainty of where the thunderstorms will form. So if they're further west across southern parts of England, we would expect to see more sunshine, more heating, temperatures into the low 30s. If the thunderstorms come further east, out of northern France, across the Channel and into southern Britain, it will bring us cloudier conditions and more rain, and our high temperatures probably down into the low 20s there. So causing a lot of uncertainty for temperatures, but not only that, for rainfall too. How unusual is it though to get to 27 degrees this time of year? So on this chart here, the months are up and down the x-axis of this graph, and you've got the days across the top here. So if you look at June, the early 20s, sort of June 21st into June 28th, it's about a 1 in 3 chance, really, for us to get above temperatures above 27 degrees Celsius somewhere in southern Britain. So about a 1 in 3 chance of that happening. By the time you get into the middle of July, end of July, it's about a 1 in 2 chance. So it's not that uncommon, but it just does highlight that we'll be going into a bit of a hotter spell of weather. So what's the pressure chart look like the next couple of days? We've got high pressure sitting off to the east, and that will help to keep this southerly and southeasterly wind flow. And you can see the blue on the map here showing areas of rain and thunderstorms that will develop and move northwards. And you can see that the trend at the moment is for western parts of Britain, Wales, southwest England, and into Ireland, and the areas further east are staying a bit drier. But there is a lot of uncertainty, and in fact the models will probably change somewhat day to day over the next few days. And if you want to keep up with the latest, you can always ring one of our forecasters who's looking at all of these different computer models and ensembles. You can ring us on 09065 777675 at £1.50 a minute plus network access charges, and that line answered between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. 7 days a week. Now, the monthly forecast is highlighting that hot weather, the core of that hot weather really across the Low Countries and northern parts of Germany in the coming week. And you can see highlighting some of the warmer temperatures as well across southeastern England. That's where the chance of being in the upper 20s and into the 30s is probably highest. That's due to this higher than normal pressure that's sitting across northern Europe, continuing to pump in air from the south. There's the low pressure that's going to potentially help to drive the thunderstorms that come up from the south as well. So both of those ingredients in place. But by next week, the higher than normal pressure is gone from northern Europe. We start to see lower than normal pressure, and I think that's a sign that the jet stream and westerly winds are going to start to return to northern parts of Europe. And the input, or the what will happen from that, is that I think it will cool the temperatures down across Scandinavia, the Baltic states, and into western Russia. So a cool off. We talked about the hotter than normal temperatures there over the last week. By next week, it will be cooler, but the hot weather still with us across central and southern Europe there. We start to see more rain as well across northern Europe, with that jet stream becoming more active, but the dry weather down across southern Europe. Week 3, so this is taking us to the 4th to 10th of July, really highlighting some very wet weather across Britain now. And I think we'll be seeing that jet stream bringing quite frequent storm systems in. So this is lower than average surface pressure, so low pressures barreling in off the Atlantic underneath that jet stream, it looks like, into that period of time. And it will mean that rainfall amounts probably stay above average as we go into that 4th week of the forecast, taking us into the middle of July. So really after week 1, The rainfall forecast for northern Europe staying just about above average for the rest of that time period, really highlighting a more unsettled and cooler spell of weather that's to come. So this is the temperature anomaly for the last week, showing no sign of the hotter than average weather across Western Europe by that point. Still looking a little bit warmer than normal in western areas of Russia and Eastern Europe though. So just to sum all of that up for the UK, hot and humid with the risk of thunderstorms at first. It becomes less hot as we go into July, but potentially turning wetter and cooler and more unsettled, generally speaking, as we go into the middle part of July, the second week onward. Thank you for watching the Weatherquest Farming Forecast. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at info@weatherquest.co.uk, or you can send us a tweet with hashtagging WQFarmingForecast. And don't forget, if you're watching the video on YouTube, to like and subscribe and hit the notifications button. Every time we issue a new forecast, which will be on Friday afternoons, you'll get a reminder in your inbox. Thank you very much for watching.